Can a small town club logo compete with the giants of European football? Today, we're redesigning my local sports club logo to give it that Champions League flair. Stick around to see the transformation. These are some of the top teams competing in the Champions League. But what makes them so great? The first thing that catches my eye is the simplicity of the overall concept. Simplicity and clarity stand the test of time. The second characteristic is the bold and meaningful use of color palettes that can easily define a team's identity. Next, we often see historic and cultural elements incorporated, like the lion in the Chelsea logo or the Eiffel Tower in the PSG logo. And finally, clean and strong typography plays an important role in creating a cohesive design. So, this is our local sports club logo. It's very old and needs to be totally revamped. This shield shape looks very outdated, so I will replace it with a clean circular badge like the PSG logo. For the typography, I will choose a clean font like Helvetica, and I will make it consistent throughout the design. This citrus fruit pictorial looks like clip art, so I will replace it with an iconic symbol. As my town is known for grape agriculture, which is a local heritage, I will try to combine a grape symbol with an eagle symbol to reflect power and pride. For the color palette, it's already chosen by the sports club team, yellow and purple. I think it will work very well. Now that we've decided on the key elements for our new logo, let's dive into the sketching process. First, I'll start by sketching some grape icons. This step is crucial to explore different styles and concepts to find the one that fits best with our design vision. Next, I'll move on to sketching some simple eagle symbols. The eagle represents power and pride, so it's important to capture that essence in our sketches. With both elements sketched out, it's time to combine them. I'll begin by experimenting with different ways to fuse the grape and eagle symbols into a cohesive design. The goal here is to create a logo that seamlessly integrates both elements, reflecting both our local heritage and the strength of our sports club. After refining the sketches, I'll select the best concept that works well for our logo. This final design will be the foundation for creating a polished, professional emblem that embodies the spirit of our club. After refining the final sketch in Photoshop, I press Ctrl F to paste it. Then I decrease its opacity, and then I go to Object, and I lock it. Now, to make the process of vectorizing the logo easier, I will use some guides to grid it. I press Ctrl R to activate the ruler, then I drag a vertical guide from the left, and I align it with the center of the sketch. To make the guides more clear, go to Edit, and scroll down to Preferences, then go to Guides and Grid. Then I click on this color panel, and I change it to red and I press OK. Now the guide looks more clear. Now I drag another vertical guide and I align it here, and then I put another guide here to grid this part of the wing. And then I drag a guide here, to measure the negative space. Now to make the size of the wing stripes consistent, I make a vertical rectangle here, and I color it in black. Now I make a vertical rectangle on the negative space. As I gridded the sketch, the rectangle will align with the guide. Then I select the two rectangles, and I hold Alt and drag them here, and I align it with this guide. Now I continue to drag guides and align it with the rectangles. Right-click. Then I unlock the guides, and I align it perfectly. Now, I delete these rectangles, and I keep those here in case I need them later. Now to start building the vector logo, I follow the sketch and I make a vertical rectangle here. Then I reduce its opacity to see below. Then I hold Alt and drag it here, and then I stretch it to fit the sketch. And then I do the same for this part. Now to form the tail stripe, I drag this one here, then I drag the rectangle that have the negative space size, and I align it here. Then I align this one with it like this. Then I delete this rectangle, and I drag a guide and align it here. Then I stretch this rectangle down to fit the sketch. Now, with the direct selection tool, I select every point from the bottom right of every rectangle, and I drag the widget to make it rounded. To measure the size of the horizontal negative space between the grape circles, I drag a horizontal guide, and I align it here. then I drag another one, and I align it with the bottom of the circle. Now I make a circle, and I give it the same color as this. Then I align it with a guide, and I stretch it from the top to fit the sketch. Now I make a rectangle between the guides, to measure the horizontal negative space. Then I drag the rectangle and I align it with this stripe, and then I duplicate it and align it here. And then I duplicate the circles and I put it in its place in the sketch, and align it with the rectangles. Then I delete the rectangles. Now, to trim the top circular parts of the stripes, I select all the circles, then I go to Object, scroll down to Path. Then I click on Offset Path. I changed the offset value to 15. Then I make sure it covers the stripes, and then I press OK. Now, I select every offset circle with its convenient stripe. Then from the Pathfinder, I click on -front. I do the same thing for the other wing stripes. Now to make the pectoral of the eagle, with the pen tool, I click here and drag up, then I click here and drag, then I hold Alt and rotate the handle. Then I click here and drag down, then I close the shape. With the direct selection tool, I move the handles to adjust the curves to fit the sketch. With the eyedropper I give it the color of the stripe. I select these two parts, and then I unite them. Now with the pen tool, I trace over the talon of the eagle, by making straight lines. Then with the direct selection, I click on every corner and make it rounded. Then I swap the fill and stroke, and make it transparent. To make the leg, I make a rectangle in the same width of the wing stripes. Then I go to the shear tool. Then I hold Shift and click and drag to make it inclined like this. I drag it here, then I make it more inclined, and then I make it transparent. And I select it along with the talon, and with the shape builder, I hold Alt and I delete the extended part. I select them again. Then I unite them. I drag the leg a little bit to the right, then I hold Alt and drag this stripe here. Then with the eraser tool, I hold Alt and drag to delete the top part. Now using the pen tool, I trace the half of the grape leaf. Then I color it with eyedropper. Then I hold Alt and drag it to the right. I go to Object and reflect it. Then I select the two part, and then I unite them from the Pathfinder. Now I trace the head of the eagle. I swap the fill and stroke, and I select the head along with the leaf. Then from the Pathfinder, click on -front, to crop it and make the head formed in the negative space. I click here, and I drag the widget to make the beak rounded. And then I trace the eye of the eagle. With the pen tool, I make those thorns like feathers. I make it transparent, and then I unite it with the outer wing stripe. Now, I select all the elements on the left, then I hold Alt and drag them to the right. Then go to Object, Transform, and click on Reflect, then press OK. Then I align it perfectly with the sketch. I hold Alt and drag this circle to the middle. I delete the guides, then I select the logo, and drag it here. I bring the opacity back to 100%. And that's it. This is our eagle grape symbol. But my local sports club needs a badge to use on different assets. And these are the team's main colors, yellow and purple. To make the badge, I select the logo and give it the purple color. From the center, I make a circle, and I give it the yellow color. Right-click, and scroll down to Arrange, and send it to back. I select everything, and I align it to the center. I select the circle. Ctrl-C to copy it, then Ctrl-F to paste it in place. I make it a little bigger, then I swap the fill and stroke. I select the type on a path tool, then I click on the circle, and I write the team's name abbreviation CSBA. With the direct selection, I drag this line and I center it with the logo. Double-click on the type and I go to character. I increase the font size. Then I change the font to Helvetica, and I change its weight to bold. I make it a little smaller. I select the type, and with the eyedropper, I give it the color purple. I select the yellow circle, Ctrl-C to copy it, then Ctrl-F to paste it in place. And then I make it bigger, then I swap the fill and stroke. Then with the type on a path tool, I click here. I write the club's name, Club Sportif Blue Argube. I decrease the font size like this. Then I increase the tracking value. With the direct selection tool, I drag this line to the left, and then I select this line that indicates the middle of the type, and I drag it to the center of the bottom. Now go to Type, scroll down to Type on a Path, and then click on Type on a Path options. Activate the preview, and to make the type from the inside, I check the flip box, and press OK. Now to make the outline of the badge, I select the yellow circle, Ctrl+C to copy it, and Ctrl+F to paste it in place. Now I make it bigger, and I give it the purple color, and I swap the fill and stroke, and then I increase the stroke size to make it bolder. I select this path where the abbreviation is typed, and I scale it up to make the text centered between the inner circle and the outline. Now I select the long name, and I scale it up to align it with the center of the abbreviation. I increased the font size a little bit, to make a ribbon behind the text. I select the outer circle, Ctrl+C and Ctrl+F to copy it and paste it in place. Now I shrink it down, to align it with the type, then I increase the stroke size to make it thick as a ribbon. I go to Object, I click on Expand, then I press OK. I select the text, then I change its color to white. To trim the circle, I select the pen tool, and I make a shape like that. Then I hold Alt and drag it to the right. From Object, I reflect it. I align it with the other one. I select them together, and from the Pathfinder, I click on Unite. Now I select it along with the thick circle, and from the Pathfinder, I click on -front. Right-click and I send it to the back. I adjust the text to fit exactly in the ribbon, then I decrease the tracking a little bit. With the Star tool, I click on the canvas, I decrease the points to 4. And I press OK. I delete it. Now I hold Shift and drag to make a star, then I give it the yellow color. With the Direct Selection tool, I hold Shift and I select the inner anchor points, and then I drag the widget to make the corner rounded. Then I put it here, and I make it smaller. I hold Alt and I drag it to the right. Now I will make a placeholder for the foundation date. With the Pen tool, I cover this part. I make it yellow. Then I hold Alt and drag it to the right. I reflect it. Then I align it with the other one. I select them together, and I unite them using the Pathfinder. Now I select it along with the yellow circle, and the ribbon. Then with the Shape Builder, I click here. I select this shape, and press Ctrl+X to cut it. Then I delete the left parts, and then Ctrl+F to paste it in place and I give it the yellow color. With the Pen tool I make a triangle like this, then I color it with purple, and then I hold Alt and drag it to the right. I go to Object, and reflect it, and I align it with the yellow shape. I write the year of foundation, I color it in purple, and I drag it down here, and then I resize it to fit in the placeholder. And that's it. And here it is, the final logo in action. I've transformed my local sports club logo into something that could stand proudly alongside the giants of the Champions League. To see the full project, head over to my Behance. The link is in the description below. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this redesign journey, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more design content. See you next time.